Celtics' defeat at Newcastle wasn't just another bad day at the office. It felt like the confirmation of a deeper issue that's been brewing for a while. We're now 8 points behind Hearts, and while that sentence alone would have sounded ridiculous not so long ago, today it hits with the weight of brutal reality. There's no more pretending this is a blip. This is a serious slump, and the signs of recovery are nowhere in sight. Watching that performance, especially the second half, you're left asking, what exactly is the identity of this Celtic side? There's no spark, no cohesion, and most worrying of all, no real fight when the game turns against us. Even the lineup raised eyebrows. Starting Dane Murray over Austin Trusty? That decision alone will haunt Brendan Rodgers for weeks, if not longer. Murray, for all his potential, was simply not ready for this type of game. Not against a Hearts team who are flying right now and playing with the kind of belief we used to have. And it's not just about Murray. The entire right-hand side of our defense looked vulnerable from the first whistle. Pairing Murray with Donovan, two players who lacked top-flight experience, was asking for trouble. Hearts, to their credit, targeted that side and got plenty of joy from it, especially with Cáceres causing chaos down that flank. It's hard to avoid the feeling that Brendan outthought himself here. If you're trying to steady the ship, why make it harder with such a risky selection? What's baffling is the way Rodgers seems to apply his ruthlessness selectively. After publicly criticizing Trusty last season for being weak in a set piece at Dundee, it feels like the American hasn't had a way back into the manager's good graces. But others, like Hatate, who's been well off the pace for months, seem immune to that same level of scrutiny. Hatate's first-half performance wasn't just underwhelming, it actively dragged the midfield down. He gave the ball away carelessly, missed his positioning multiple times, and yet he continues to get the nod over hungrier options. When you see a player like Trusty, who actually showed up in tough games last season, being sidelined while underperformers keep starting, it chips away at your confidence in the manager's decision-making. Rodgers said it was about the balance of left-footed and right-footed center halves. But when you've got a guy like Trusty who's played well alongside Scales before, including a clean sheet away in Europe, that argument starts to fall apart. Celtic were arguably the better team in the first half. Callum McGregor looked like his old self, the midfield was ticking along decently, and you thought maybe we'd find our rhythm. But what happens next is becoming predictable. A single setback, an own goal, a dodgy penalty, a moment of poor judgment, and the whole team crumbles. That's what's most worrying. At 3-1 down, not a single part of me thought we'd fight our way back. And I think that says it all. This isn't the Celtic we've come to expect. Under previous regimes, whether it was Rodgers' first spell or Ange Postecoglou's high-octane side, you always believed that a comeback was possible. That belief has vanished. Now, once the opposition scores, we look emotionally and tactically beaten. That's a massive red flag. Even looking at the stats paints a grim picture. Celtic have only managed a maximum of 3 wins in a row all calendar year. That's not the form of a title-chasing side. In fact, in all competitions this year, we've played 45 games, won 26, drawn 9, and lost 10. That's a win rate of around 58%. For a club of our stature, that's abysmal. This is where the deeper concern kicks in. It's not just a form issue. It's a full-blown identity crisis. The transfer business has been nothing short of disastrous. We're still relying on remnants of the Ange era, and a good number of those players clearly want out. You can feel it. The hunger, the edge, it's gone. Some of them haven't got their moves and are now going through the motions. The new signings haven't hit the ground running either. Either they're not fancied by Rodgers or simply aren't good enough. And when the manager is publicly calling the squad a Honda Civic compared to the Ferraris in Europe, how are these players supposed to find motivation? The Celtic squad right now is a strange cocktail of players Brendan Rodgers doesn't trust, players who don't want to be here, and players who aren't good enough. There are a few exceptions, McGregor, Forrest, maybe even Scales on a good day, but not enough to carry us through a tough league campaign. Look at Johnny Kinney up front. He works hard, yes, but he's not Celtic's number 9. And yet he's starting games while someone like Yamada, who at least has a bit more flair, sits on the bench game after game. When Yamada finally did get on, he showed with a single touch that he has more raw ability than Kinney. It's stuff like this that makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes. Even the changes from the bench have been baffling. Taking off Tenki and bringing on Balu, what did that achieve? Rodgers' justification that Tinky is a left-sided player and doesn't like playing on the right might be true, but it ignores the bigger issue. We're losing games because we can't adapt. The manager used to be pragmatic, used to find solutions. Now it feels like he's clinging to rigid philosophies that don't work with this group. And yes, Hearts deserve credit. They turned up, executed a clear game plan, and took full advantage of our weaknesses. But what's damning is that they didn't even need to be at their best to beat us. They were just well organized, knew where to press, and sensed our fragility. The worst part? This isn't new. Teams have been doing this to us all season. All they need to do is press McGregor out of the game, and we're lost. So now we head into a crucial week. Falkirk midweek, then the Derby next weekend. These games could shape the rest of our season. But how many Celtic fans truly believe this team can step up? There's no momentum, no belief, and little faith in the manager to turn it around. If we go out of the cup and lose to Rangers, what then? Are we just going to drift along for the rest of the season with a manager who, despite what he says, looks checked out? And what about the board? Not a word, not a plan, no accountability. They've created this situation by neglecting key areas of the squad for window after window. They've allowed the rot to set in, and now, with the fans losing faith and the team miles off the pace, the consequences are being felt. We're staring at a situation where Brendan Rodgers may not even be here next season, yet we're letting him limp through this one with no clear direction. It's a mess, and if nothing changes soon, this could turn from a disappointing season into a full-blown disaster. Looking ahead, it's hard not to feel a deep unease about where this is all going. You get the sense that this season is teetering on the edge of collapse, and unless something changes drastically, whether that's a shift in mentality, a proper January window, or a bold decision at the boardroom level, we're heading for another one of those seasons that fans talk about in hushed tones for years. And the real frustration is that it's all avoidable. Brendan Rodgers, for all his experience and pedigree, is starting to look like a man without solutions. He talks about being motivated, about still believing in the project, but you don't feel that energy coming through on the pitch. His interviews are getting more deflective, his lineups more confusing, and his in-game management practically non-existent. The man who used to control games with smart substitutions and tactical tweaks now just seems to stand on the touchline, arms folded, watching another game slip away. What's worse is how predictable it's all become. This isn't one or two bad results. This is a clear pattern. We're now seeing the same mistakes repeated week after week. Go ahead or stay level in the first half, fail to capitalize, then fall apart under the slightest bit of pressure in the second. There's no resilience in this squad. The moment things go wrong, heads drop, intensity fades, and you know the result is only going one way. And it's happened against teams we should be swatting aside, not just title challengers. Even the players that should be our leaders are struggling. McGregor, for all his class, can't do it alone. Forrest has his moments, but at this stage in his career, he's not the guy you build a comeback around. The new signings? Largely ineffective. The returning ones? Playing like they'd rather be anywhere else. There's no edge, no unity, no bite. You watch the body language on the pitch, and it just screams disconnection. And that's what's so infuriating. This doesn't feel like a group of players who are desperate to fight for each other. It feels like a collection of individuals going through the motions. And look, we know injuries have played a part. Guys like Alistair Johnston and Hoda, those are massive losses. But no team should fall apart this badly just because a few players are missing. Not a club of CELTIC'S size. Not with the resources we have. The issue isn't just injuries. The issue is that the replacements aren't good enough. And they aren't good enough because we've had window after window of poor recruitment. Too many punts. Too many projects. Not enough players who can step into the first team and make an immediate difference. Take Balogun, for example. We were told he was one of the most scouted players in Europe, someone the club had tracked for months. But what has he really shown so far? A couple of neat flicks, a bit of movement, sure, but nowhere near the level we need. That's the story with too many of these signings. Maybe they'll come good in time, but this team doesn't have time. The league is slipping away. The cups are still alive, but hanging by a thread. Europe is, let's be honest, already beyond us. And then there's the upcoming Derby. Normally a game like that would feel like a chance to reset the season. A win against Rangers, a spark of belief, something to build on. But who truly believes this group is capable of that right now? We've seen nothing, absolutely nothing, to suggest that this team is up for a fight like that. Rangers haven't been great either, but they're building something. Their new manager is getting a tune out of them. And they've got belief, something we're sorely lacking. If we lose that game, the noise around Rodgers is going to reach a deafening volume. And rightly so. That would be 5 derbies without a win under his second spell. Add that to the cup final loss, the exit in Europe, the failed league run. What is he holding on to at that point? His reputation alone? That's not enough. And it's not even about the loss itself. It's about what that would say to the players, the fans, and the rest of the league, that Celtic, under Brendan Rodgers, are no longer feared. That Tynecastle wasn't a one-off. That this team can be beaten, not by brilliance, but by grit and desire. But here's the problem. Even if the board wanted to make a change, and all signs suggest they don't, what's the plan? Who replaces Rodgers? Are we going to go down the route of a Sean Maloney, or fall back into the arms of John Kennedy again? Because if that's the option, we're just swapping one problem for another. The issue isn't just the man in the dugout. It's the whole footballing structure at the club. It's the same reactive, short-term thinking that's plagued us before. We paper over the cracks, wait too long to act, and let good seasons turn into disasters. We've seen this movie before. Tony Mowbray's collapse. The infamous COVID season under Lennon. In both cases, it was the same story, clear signs of decline, fans screaming for action, and a club hierarchy that waited until it was far too late. That's the fear now. That we're going to drift through this season, scraping wins here and there, losing every big match, and watching the league titles slowly slip away, all while the board sits on its hands, hoping for a miracle that's not coming. And look, let's be real. The season isn't gone yet. The league is still there to be won. 8 points behind Hearts sounds bad, but there's time. But do you see the kind of form we'd need to go on to claw that back? Do you see this team rattling off 6, 7, 8 wins in a row? Do you see us beating Hearts and Rangers away from home when we're struggling to beat Falkirk at Celtic Park? It's not impossible, but it looks increasingly unlikely. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers have been swirling across the football world, and the latest one is sure to set tongues wagging. Reports are circling that Scotland's own Scott McTOMINAY has made a bold, perhaps unexpected, move in the summer transfer window. The midfielder, who's been sparkling in Serie A with Napoli, is said to have called time on his Italian adventure and is heading back to familiar turf, Glasgow, to be precise, where the mighty Celtic are rumored to have snatched him up. Sources close to the matter hint that McTominay's Napoli stint, while promising at the start, has been a roller coaster. The 26-year-old, known for his tireless work ethic in midfield and uncanny knack for breaking up attacks, apparently found the tactical demands of Italian football a wee bit grinding. And while Serie A's glamour is hard to resist, it seems the pull of home, and perhaps a chance to make history with the hoops, was too strong to ignore. Celtic fans, naturally, are buzzing. Imagine McTominay donning the green and white hoops, patrolling midfield at Parkhead, adding grit, vision, and that Scottish steel that's become his trademark. Rumor has it that the signing isn't just about numbers or appearances, it's a statement. The boys are looking to reclaim domestic dominance, and having a homegrown talent with international seasoning could be just the spark they need. Of course, details remain murky. No official word yet from the clubs themselves, and Napoli supporters are reportedly left scratching their heads at this sudden exit. Was it a clash with the manager? A personal decision? Or just that unmistakable pull of Scottish football calling him back home? Whatever the reason, insiders suggest that McTominay's arrival could stir up the Premiership and even catch the eye of Celtic's European rivals. Football pundits are already speculating, some calling it a masterstroke, others a risky gamble. But one thing's for sure, if these whispers are true, Parkhead is about to witness a midfield renaissance. And for McTominay, it's a chance to show that sometimes talking the road home is the boldest move of all. Keep your eyes peeled. If this rumor proves to be fact, the summer transfer window has just gotten a lot more exciting, and Celtic fans will have every reason to celebrate. Hello fan, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.